there, this is Jackson O'Brien. I'm the head barista of Barista Coffee, and today I'm going to show you how to brew with one of these. This is a Chemex. This is one of the earliest pour-over brewers available in the United States. It was developed by a German chemist named Dr. Peter Schönblum, who wanted to develop the chemist's preferred way of brewing coffee. It's also the only coffee brewer that I know of that's part of the Museum of Modern Art's permanent collection. It's a lovely little brewer. We're going to use it today to brew about 500 milliliters of coffee. That's going to be enough to fill this mug twice. It's a good thing to split with a friend. So first what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure my coffee. I'm going to sit this on the scale. Measuring by weight is always going to be a bit more accurate than measuring by volume. And I'm going to use 32 grams of coffee. There we go. For a Chemex, I want to use a slightly coarser than drip grind. This is going to be coffee with a good bit of grit to it. It's not quite going to be quite breadcrumb style, but it is going to be on the level of some kind of brands of kosher salt or something. Before I start grinding my actual coffee though, I want to prep my brewer. This is currently at room temperature. It's a bit too cold to actually brew coffee with. If I pour hot water into it, it's going to heat the brewer, and that's going to come at the expense of the water temperature. So I'm going to heat that. I'm also going to put my filter in. That's going to help adhere the filter to the sides of the brewer, also wash away any paper flavor that might come out of here in that initial pour. So a Chemex filter is actually just a big square of paper. It comes folded into quarters. I'm going to take this and I'm going to pull one corner away. So I have three sides on one side and one side on the other. I'm going to put that three parts over closer to the spout. That's going to help the water not flow around this spout, but also not create a vacuum so that air can escape here as coffee beverage goes in. I have my kettle, which I'm going to fill with 200-degree water. I'm just going to rinse this real fast. That whole filter. So I'm going to set that on my scale and go ahead and grind my coffee. I'm going to add that to my brewer here. Kind of shake it so it's nice and even and flat. Hit tare on there, so now I know exactly how much water I'm going to be adding, because I'm going to be adding 500 milliliters of water, and that's 500 grams of water, because the metric system is amazing. I'm also going to start my timer just as soon as I hit water to this. I'm going to hit this with just enough hit the coffee with just enough water to saturate those grounds. About 60 grams should do it. You can see how this is swelling and bubbling. That is a good sign. That tells us that there is CO2 gas still present in this coffee. That means it was really freshly roasted. But it's also an impediment to the brewing process. So this process called bloom should take around 30 to 45 seconds on a Chemex. Is just there to push all of that gas out of there. Just wait until that bubbling just really slows or stops. There we go. I'm just going to go ahead and pour to get everything wet once more. After my initial pour, you can see how some of the grounds are floating at the top of this. You can see how some are kind of clinging to the sides of the filter. We want to make sure that everything is sunk to the bottom of the filter by the time we're through. So I'm just going to pour a little bit, observe it, see where those spots are that I need to focus my next pour, and I'm going to pour again. Now a lot of those very same things are sunk. There's still a little bit of color left on the top of the slurry, so I'm going to need to focus my pour at least one more time on another pulse. You're typically going to see around 3 to 4 to 5 pulses per pour for serving on a Chemex of this size. A beautiful thing about a Chemex is a lot of the flow restriction happens because of this really thick filter. So you can do this and scale it up as much as to brew as much coffee as will fit in here. This one will brew up to about 1 liter, or as little as you would not want to brew in there. So you can do like 1 cup, just doing 16 grams in of coffee and 250 grams of water. Each time I never want to pour all the way to the top, because each time I want to pour slightly higher than I did the last time. That's going to really wash everything down into a nice flat bed of coffee at the bottom. If I pour all the way to the top, I can't pour any higher the next time. Now what we can see now is this slurry is just an even layer of kind of brown coffee foam on here. Just going to take a demi-tasse spoon, push that back. You can't really see any grounds floating at the top. So that tells me that pretty much everything now is sunk to the bottom, and especially when this slurry kind of breaks up and you can see little patches of liquid beneath the foam, that's your sign that everything's sunk. So I'm going to go ahead and pour until this scale reads 500. Just be done with the pulsing and pouring of things. Chemex should take you around 5 minutes to brew. So I've had this timer going the entire time. It's currently at around 3 minutes, so that gives me a solid 2 minutes for this last bit to finish dripping through. So here you have it, this brew finished at 5 minutes and 30 seconds. That's a marvelous amount of time for this to finish in. We've got a nice flat brew bed, not a whole lot clinging to the sides, not a lot up on the sides here. That means that we've done our job of pouring in those even pulses to get everything settled so that everything extracts evenly. So that is how you brew a Chemex. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you soon.